What if I told you the most powerful empire in human history was not destroyed by barbarians, not by war pias, but by desert?
Romans were poisoning themselves with every single meal. They loved it. They craved it. They fed it to their children. And before you laugh, open your fridge. You are doing the exact same thing right now. Rome had no sugar. Honey was expensive and spoiled fast. So they engineered their own sweetener. They took grape juice and boiled it down slowly in lead pots. The natural acid in the grapes reacted with the metal and created a chemical compound called lead acetate, also known as sugar of lead. Sweet, thick, syrupy, and utterly toxic. They called the finished product Defrutum, and they put it in absolutely everything. Wine, sauces, preserved fruit, pastries, glazes for meat. The only Roman cookbook that survived to our time, written by a man named Apicius, calls for Defrutum in roughly every fifth recipe. This was not a fringe ingredient. This was the backbone of Roman cuisine. But the sweetener was just the beginning. Lead was not hiding in Rome. Lead was Rome. The famous aqueducts, the engineering marvel that delivered fresh mountain water to over 1 million people, carried that water through lead pipes. The Latin word for lead is plumbum. That is where your word plumbing comes from. Lead joints sealed the connections. Lead-lined tanks stored the water. Lead reservoirs fed the public fountains. An architect named Vitruvius warned them as early as the 1st century BC. He wrote that workers who handled lead pipes grew pale and sickly, and he explicitly recommended ceramic as a safer alternative. The Senate did nothing. Lead was cheaper. It did not stop at water. Roman women painted their faces with white lead paste called cerussa every single morning. White skin was a marker of wealth and status. They were smearing a neurotoxin directly onto their skin as a daily beauty ritual, and they did it for centuries. Wine, the national drink, was stored and served in lead vessels because the metal kept the taste stable. Food was prepared in lead-glazed cookware. Even the coins people handled every day contained lead. A middle-class Roman was absorbing the poison with every sip of water, every bite of food, every touch of their own face, and every transaction at the market. There was no escape from it. The entire civilization was marinated in lead. Now, here is what chronic lead exposure actually does to the human brain. Even at low doses, it shaves 5 to 10 points off your IQ. It triggers aggression, impulsivity, and poor decision-making. At higher doses, it causes paranoia, hallucinations, memory loss, and chronic abdominal cramps so severe the Romans gave them their own medical name, Saturnism, after the god Saturn. Lead also causes infertility and miscarriages, which may explain why elite Roman families, the ones with the most access to lead-sweetened luxuries, had notoriously low birth rates. Now look at the emperors that history remembers as insane. Caligula, wildly impulsive, increasingly paranoid, capable of sudden, senseless cruelty. He reportedly declared his horse a senator. These are textbook symptoms of chronic lead poisoning. Nero, progressive instability, grandiose delusions, murdered his own mother. He watched Rome burn and reportedly thought it was beautiful. Commodus, he inherited a stable empire and slowly degenerated from a competent ruler into a man who dressed as a gladiator and fought dwarves and crippled animals in the arena for his own amusement. Were they simply corrupted by absolute power? Possibly. Power needs no chemical assistance to destroy a mind. But here is the detail that matters. The Roman elite consumed far more lead than ordinary citizens. They drank more wine. They ate more elaborate meals prepared with Defrutum. They used finer lead-lined tableware. They lived in homes with better plumbing. The wealthiest people in Rome were poisoning themselves at a rate the poor could never afford. The ultimate irony: their luxury was their death sentence. Now here is where this stops being an ancient curiosity and starts being your problem. Lead never disappeared. It just changed containers. Until 1978, homes across the United States were painted with lead-based paint. Millions of those homes still stand, and millions of children still live in them. Until 1996, Americans pumped leaded gasoline into their cars, and every exhaust pipe sprayed lead particles into the air that everyone breathed. In 2014, the city of Flint, Michigan discovered that its public water supply was contaminated with lead. Over 100,000 people were exposed, including tens of thousands of children. A study from Duke University, published in 2022, calculated that over half of all Americans born before 1996 lost an average of 2.6 IQ points due to childhood lead exposure from gasoline alone. Scaled to the entire population, that is more than 800 million IQ points erased from a single generation. An invisible disaster that no one talks about. But here is the truly disturbing part. Lead might not even be our worst problem anymore. Meet your modern Defrutum. Microplastics have now been detected in human blood, lung tissue, breast milk, placentas, and brain matter. PFAS. Synthetic compounds nicknamed forever chemicals because they never break down, have been found in the drinking water of nearly half the United States population. BPA, an endocrine disruptor, lines the inside of your canned food and coats the receipts you handle at every checkout counter.
The research exists, the data is published, the warnings have been issued. And here is the question that should keep you awake tonight. The Romans had an excuse. Most of them genuinely did not know that lead was dangerous. Vitruvius knew, and they ignored him. But the average citizen had zero access to that information. We do not have that excuse. We read the studies about microplastics over breakfast. We share articles about forever chemicals on social media. And then we drink water from a plastic bottle because it was on sale. We are ignoring our Vitruvius for the exact same reason Rome ignored theirs. Because the safe alternative is less convenient and more expensive. 2,000 years from now, what will the archaeologists say? They will sift through our landfills, scan our bones, and find them saturated with plastic particles and synthetic chemicals. And they will write one sentence in their research papers. They knew, and they did not stop. So I am asking you directly, what is our Defrutum? What is the invisible poison we consume every day that future generations will look back on with disbelief? Microplastics? Processed sugar? Seed oils? Social media? Drop your answer in the comments. I want to read every single one. And if you want to know how Rome destroyed its own economy, how they debased their currency, triggered hyperinflation, and crashed their financial system in ways that will feel painfully familiar if you have checked the price of groceries lately, click the video on your screen right now. See you in the Empire.